Yeah, they seem to be by Shams at this point labeled, I would say, as the favorite for Jae Crowder, right? I mean, that seems to be how it's materializing. Where are you at on it?
Yeah, I mean, I think as Shams and I have kind of been tracking this whole thing, it really feels like it's a situation where the Bucks are a team that knows they're gonna have to play Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. And if you're gonna play Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, you need big wings to throw at those two dudes and just encourage them to not get to the rim and somehow get them into turnovers and just kind of like doing the things that, we saw the Celtics do poorly against the Warriors and other teams in their playoff run last year. And the Bucks know that, right? Like we need a big wing. So how are we going to do this? What are we going to do? And they've zeroed in on Jae Crowder. And I don't think it's the worst idea because Jae Crowder is playoff proven. He's played in finals. He's done the stuff, right?
From
He's
Marquette too, right? From Marquette.
from Marquette, good friends with Wesley Matthews, also on the Bucks, another old guy on the Bucks. So like I think they've zeroed in on it. I think it makes a lot of sense for them, but they don't want to give up Grayson Allen, and the Suns don't particularly want Grayson Allen. And that's where, as we've gone through this, you've seen, I don't know how many 3-team configurations, right? Like for the last 3 months, it's been like, okay, how do the Bucks and Suns figure out a third team? I think it was the Rockets for a little while. And it was the Wizards last week when they're thinking about maybe that's like a Rui destination to get him to the Suns. Like all of that has just kind of been like the Bucks not wanting to budge on really giving up anything of high value. Let's say Marjan Beauchamp, their first round pick from this year, or their 2029 first round pick, which is the only first round pick they can give up because they traded Drew Holiday, or traded for Drew Holiday, excuse me, and gave away like all of their picks. So they don't want to give those things up. So it's like, hey, do you want Grayson Allen? Okay, you don't want Grayson Allen. Do you want Jordan
Serge
Nwora,
Ibaka, Jordan
Serge Ibaka, George Hill?
Show him Thunder highlights of Serge Ibaka. He used to, block
It's
100
got to
shots
be
a season.
somewhat flattering to be. I mean, the Jae Crowder situation obviously has been bizarre, and to be Jay and be wondering what your next stop is going to be, and then to have the two teams that faced off in the finals, one of which you used to be on, more formally anyway, deciding that you are the difference maker down the stretch. These two, I mean, the Bucks certainly haven't fallen off. The Suns have, absolutely have. And to have the Bucks looking at it saying, no, I think that's the solution. We've seen what he can do when he's at his best has got to be flattering.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the other side of the coin is they haven't done it, right? Like they haven't been like, oh man, we need them so bad that we're gonna give up something of value. It's just like Suns.
Yeah, it's not a Drew Holiday pursuit.
No, Suns, take it or leave it. And if you don't want it, that's cool. But also, no one else in the league wants to give you what you want. So you can come back. Like you gonna return the call now. Like how are we gonna do this? So I think that's the other part of it, right? Because you haven't seen Jae Crowder play in 8 months, 9 months, somewhere around there. Like he
see that, we saw with the John Wall situation, like, teams get nervous when they haven't seen a guy do his thing. And there's potentially opportunities to see a guy, but more often than not, especially veterans, they're not trying to sit here and go do an open gym so that you can sleep better at night as you pursue them. They want their reputation to stand for itself, and they want you to take whatever intel their agent gives you and trust that, which can be tricky.
Sounds like the Suns overplayed their hand, to be honest. Like,
I mean, they've had a little bit of stuff going on, Fred.
They have, but I don't think that's why a Jae Crowder trade hasn't gone down. They've had a pretty high asking price on Jae Crowder and have kind of operated, at least, I don't know, correct me if you think I'm wrong on this, but I don't think I am. They've kind of operated as if the price on Crowder is not going to change from November to December to January to February, when we know the rest of the league is now wondering, okay, this guy's in his 30s. Is he in shape? And if he's not in shape, how long is his ramp? It's not just about, is he going to be in shape? It's also whether he's in shape or not in shape, he hasn't played. So he's going to need a ramp up time. okay, well, depending on what kind of shape he's in, how long is the ramp up time going to be? Are we only going to have him for 20 regular season games? And if we're only going to have him for 20 regular season games when he's on an expiring contract, then why in the world are we giving up all of this value for a dude for 20 games? So it's, if you're doing it in November, right at the start of the season, it's not just, and I realize trades rarely happen then. It's not just about, okay, well, you can assume he's in better shape than you can at the end of January or beginning of February. It's also about, well, if you're getting him in November, you're getting him for 70 games. And now you're getting him for 25, 20. You don't even know. You have to guess before the trade happens. And you don't know what version of him is going to show up. So why would you give up a rotation player for him? Why wouldn't you just go salary filler in a second rounder? And I think, and the Suns have to pull the trigger. They're not just going to let him be a free agent. It's better to get a second rounder for him than nothing. So it just, well,
especially
I think that constitutes overplaying your hand.
No, I agree, Fred. But quick context too. I mean, I do think at this point, because they dragged their feet on getting something done, they are now facing complications that make it even tougher. With the ownership transfer going towards Matt Ishbia, I mean, anytime you have a new owner, they are going to be looking at that cupboard of assets and saying, hold on a minute. I don't even know what I think of this group and this GM and this coach and these players. I've got a long-term big picture vision. And so suddenly, if you're anybody negotiating with them, they're looking at it differently. That's all there is to it. And I think there's more layers to it.